Welcome to Dog Walks with the Big Dog Talks. Today on the show, I'm Frank Howley.
I'm Brian the Big Dog.
And on camera, we got
Audrey.
Another big dog gamer in the house. I finished Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, and that's what I really am dying to talk about. So I've talked about this occasionally on like videos and stuff, but I have OCD, particularly like my triggers, I pick my fingers, but I've been doing better as an adult, but I am constantly worried that I'm not getting enough done. I'm very obsessive, and so I'm an obsessive like to-do list person. My whole life I've always like made to-do lists for everything in my life, whatever. And the paranoia I get is, what if I forget to write something down? What if I don't do it? Whatever. So since high school, I've had so many systems of like, I have a planner in high school, but I was a sloppy teenager, so it was never good. But I used to take notes on my phone.
Right.
And then I graduated to making Google Doc to-do lists. And the problem of keeping notes digitally is they grow infinitely.
Yep.
And so I got by, like we all survived, but I've never been like able to rest. I'm always paranoid that like, I'm always on the edge of like failure, is how I feel like.
Right.
But I read this book, and I've been using a physical planner since last year. So the planner with the book, now I feel like I can get an ease, and I can talk about some tips and strategies. But Brian, productivity, it's a big thing. So much to talk about. And
Plus you've been using Monday.com as well.
Yes.
So on top of all of that, it's just taking all of the tools that you've gained throughout your life and like using them to get the things that you need to get done.
So the whole thing of like this book, Getting Things Done, what it really tells you to do is like, again, my whole thing is sporadic, and I'm curious what people think too, how they operate. But I would have so many different systems. I would keep some reminders on email, some on a Google document, some on my phone, some on a planner, some other thing. The whole system behind Getting Things Done is you funnel everything into one system. So now I might take a note on my iPhone. I might take a note on like a notepad, a sticky notes. I use sticky notes a lot. But once a week I collect everything, filter it down, and then we use a site called Monday.com. This isn't a plug.
It's just what we use.
We use a site called Monday.com, and that's where I'm able to just plan out everything. That way I don't forget anything. And the book really guides into the whole philosophy of just being able to take care of everything. And like, I feel like even the beginning of this video is sporadic, because I have so many scattered thoughts, but this book really has meant a lot to me. And I know I haven't even explained what the book does, but I've loosely talked about what it's done. But
what's one of the first things that you learned from it that you started to take and use right away?
So I started the book in like October, which was in the middle of like this big editing contract, which was great because I have to work with like these San Diego corporate like executives, which is awesome, but it's intimidating because I never went to business school, whatever. And you go into this and it's like, okay, we're planning this appointment here and here. And it's like, oh God, I'm a child. I don't know anything. But it's just like, figure out what you need to do and do it. But I think the biggest thing with getting things done is if you schedule something, hey, on this day I'm going to be filming something, whatever, or whatever, if you just make time for everything in your life, you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
And thank you, that's the perfect question, because I didn't, this video is so scattered, but the paranoia I always have is if I'm watching a movie, I should be doing work, I should be doing emails. If I'm doing work, but I'm not doing this. By planning everything in your life, you don't have to be as anal as I am, but you're able to focus on one thing at a time, because I have it in my list, I have it in my planner, I'll be able to get to it later on. And so over the course of 6 months, I've been working on it, and I've been able to do a lot. Like we launched Big Dogs, we've done all this stuff, and I think I'm finally found peace. And again, it's so scattered, I have so many bouncing thoughts in my head, I don't know if any of it's coming across, but that's why I want to make this video, just to start this conversation of like, I have this OCD anxiety of just to-do lists and everything, but I think after 6 months of working on it and using a physical planner and avoiding airplane noises, I think it's going to get better. If anyone else is even loosely understanding what I'm talking about, let me know. But
I think they do. I definitely think they do, because what I've found in most of my experiences and talking to people is we all share the exact same feeling. Oh yeah. It's so nice. It's so nice in here. But like we all share the same like anxieties, the same fears, but they all manifest themselves in different avenues. And we look at each other as complete pieces when we see each other. Like I come up, I see Frank, like as long as I've known Frank, I'm like, well, dude, like he's got his stuff together. He's well coordinated. He doesn't miss deadlines. He arrives on time. And then you talk to him and you realize, oh, it's because he spends all of this time and effort, and like myself, making sure to maintain like all of these things underneath the surface level, so that when you see us, we're the most complete we can be as people to communicate effectively. And so I think it's like, it's really something that we all have to self-reflect upon, and that's something that we have a hard time, I think, nowadays, is reflecting on what we've done. To get things done, you have to know where you got to go, and you have to count where you've gone so that you can move on and gain experience from that. So I think it's really important to take that time, reflect, and find out, what have I gotten done? What tools do I have? What tools do I need? That way I'm able to get more things done. I think that's kind of why you're reading books and finding those journeys for yourself, right?
And again, like, we're so loosely talking about what this is, because again, like, this is me also kind of coming out and talking about OCD, like, in a very easy, accessible way. But yeah, the hardest thing, and like, the book is really helpful. And when I first realized I had OCD, I read Mark Summers, the Price is Right host. He has a book on OCD.
Double Dare.
Yeah, and I read it and was like, oh my god, okay, I get it. But like, I'm constant. I always like compare myself to like James Cameron. I'm not a super genius like he is, but like, he is a hard-working monster.
Yes.
And there's a part of me where I kind of aspire to be like that, because I can't ever rest. I'm always like, I have to be productive. I have to be productive. And it's like, again, I do stuff done. I make so many things. People like comment like, Frank does so many shows, so many things, but it's like, I feel like I'm never able to rest. Like, I'm never able to rest. But by having a planner, which I started using back in February, because like Emily and Josie were people who like I first talked to, and they were really like, do this, and it works. So again, in the spirit of like Big Dog's Dog Walks, it's like, if there's something that we can take with you, that any viewers can take with, and again, I'm just speaking in such a wide net, just shotgunning these thoughts. If anyone has any things to share, because it's so loose, but I think I'm getting better. But like, yeah, but using a planner, it really lets me evaluate my week. Am I spending enough time with friends? Am I spending enough time doing actual work? Am I spending enough time like engaging with media? Am I spending enough time being happy? But
for yourself?
Yeah, for myself, which, you know, that's why going to the gym, working out, walking, because it's able to like change your mind, get fresh air, and that helps. But yeah, I think the biggest key from this book, Getting Things Done, is if you want to do any project, you know, map out what are the goals, but ultimately, what's the next actionable step?
Yes.
So again, like even doing this dog walks thing, I had this loose idea. I wanted to do like a new interview series like Neighborhood Game Club. I wanted to do like a short form vlog, a short form podcast where I can just talk. I wanted to do something involving fitness. I want to do something involving comics. I don't know exactly what it is, but I woke up one day, and again, I talk about the house that Jack built because it is about an OCD serial killer, and Lars von Trier makes this connection between someone having OCD, but his art is murders. Like, it's a gnarly film, but when I saw that, it really struck me of like, and Lars von Trier is like draws this parallel. Instead of destroying, he creates. Like, that's his art, and anything I do, talk or whatever, it's out of this compulsion of I have so many ideas in my head. Oh, I just needed to let it out. And like, what I like about to-do lists and post-its, and I've always done this, there's a satisfaction writing something down and then crossing off so I don't have to think about it, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. And like, I've like told Audrey this, but like when I was in high school, I used to pick my fingers brutally because I'd be so nervous. Now, thankfully, not as much, but I used to have to wear bandages on my fingers because I would just be so anxious, and I didn't have the tools to figure out why I was so anxious. And now, even if it's like a to-do list, writing stuff down, putting my thoughts out so they're not bouncing in my head helps.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a lot, but this book, Getting Things Done, like, really like, is, I don't know, it's really helped me.
You were talking before we started walking about, we were talking about getting into a focus state.
Yes. State of flow.
A state of flow. For me, it's like, I call that like a focus state.
Yeah.
When I'm working on something, I'm focusing kind of on 5 things at once, but they all kind of work together and they're bouncing off each other. Kind of like imagine it as stat filling in video games.
Yes.
I try to equally raise all the stats in a project so that basically it's like, I call it basically like the hammer falls. So when everything works out right, I've set everything up so that all I have to do is pull the trigger and the hammer falls and it's done. That to me is like how I set up my work. So honestly, the way that I found self-help, and I've said this before, is through Tetris.
Oh, yeah?
Through Tetris, it allowed me to find a place where I can tap into, like, I don't hear anything else. I can't take any other inputs. It's like meditation. I'm just in this state of focus on Tetris, but it's always about trying to create the best from what I'm getting, because I can't control the blocks. I can only hold one of them at a time, and if I switch it, that's it. And it helped me kind of understand sense of urgency in life and why you have to kind of you don't have to push yourself to move as fast as you think, but you have to know how long things take, so that you can make sure you give yourself the time it needs to get done.
And that's what I've enjoyed, having a planner. So like, I have a very routine. I go to the gym, that takes maybe an hour. I go grocery shop, 30 minutes. And I, you know, like, even after I do something, I'll mark it in my planner. That way, when I plan next week, I can reflect and be like, okay, and it's helped. So if there's anything to take away, again, this is loose. I realized halfway through this is like coming out about like OCD or whatever. Like, and maybe those are all wrong terms, but it's just like, I've never publicly talked about this, and I want to, and I also know like therapy is something I need to do one day too. But like, if anyone, I don't know, has any of the experience, whatever, but yeah, it's this paranoia of never being able to rest.
One thing that Bryan told me last time when I was in California, I was talking about doing things like A to B, and you explained it to me something that is kind of impossible to do it because your brain doesn't process like that. Some people do, but you can skip steps from A, B, O, Z, whatever your brain wants. And that's what you told me last night. Something like that. I don't know if you can more explain it, but I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I think I kind of can. So give me a little bit more context. Do you remember what we were talking about at the time, just getting tasks done?
Like, teacher always like make a list of like things you want to do from A to B, what's more important, but sometimes you look at task B and like, oh, I don't feel like it, but it's the next thing on my list and I have to do it. But I don't know, your brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah, so I think what I was trying to say was like, we think about like things in priority lists, and it's like, oh man, I really want to be doing this or that, like, but I have a list of things that I need to get done, and I can't get to it unless, you know, like for instance, like I have to clean before I start working. And it's you're creating steps to get to the work you already don't want to do when you should just start the thing you want to get done and not worry about anything else. You're creating a distraction and kind of like letting things get in the way of what you actually want to complete. And that's where it's like, forget going A, B, C, D. Just get the things you need to get done, start working, and make sure you have an accountable list like Frank was talking about, so that you know what you've gotten done and what still needs to get done.
Yeah, the next action. But you're in school, and I remember in school at that stage I think I had Google Docs too, but I would always do like an iCloud note, like Wednesday, I need to do this paper, do this homework assignment, etc. Now the way I operate, I need to edit something. I'm not excited to edit something, but on my to-do list, I'll do open Premiere.
Right.
Plug in the hard drive, import the files, label the footage. So little baby steps, and then, you get into this state of flow, and then stop writing everything. But like, next action, again, a little tip is just like, say, again, last episode, we talked about like exercise. Instead of like, man, I need to lose 50 pounds, step A, go for a 15-minute walk.
Exactly.
Try doing it every day. But Audrey, how do you operate? Because you're a college student, you work. Do you do to-do lists? Do you do planners? What's your strategy? What are your tips and tricks for productivity in Montreal?
Productivity in Montreal, like it's supposed to be different from everywhere else.
In Canada, they got like.
I'm not the most organized person. First of all, I'm not point. But what I do is mostly I know I want to do. Like Valentine's Day was coming up. I know my mom's birthday was coming up. So what I do, I mostly have like a block note. Yeah. Every thought that I have, since I use public transport, every time I have a little thought, I write it down on a block note, a different block note. It's crazy. It's a mess. Yeah. But it works for me because whenever I come down, like, okay, I'm gonna do my card. What was on my mind last time? Yeah. Oh, okay, I can look at my block note. That's mostly how I work. Otherwise, homework, I have an agenda, which is great. But I love that I like do my weekly planner a little like you do, but not like you. Oh, thanks, Bryan. You see how I know how it works, right? But yeah, that's how I manage my things. But do you have a planner or something, Bryan?
I kind of do. I've started using Monday.com a little bit more. I always used to put stuff in a calendar, but I found that
it is.
Yeah, it is. I found that looking at the calendar itself kind of gave me anxiety.
Yeah. See everything at such a wide scope.
You realize a week is kind of really small. We do a lot.
There are like all these little dots and highlights and stuff that like, oh man, I have to do all this. Oh, there's not a day where I don't have a dot on it. Like, and it just becomes such a hassle. But I think one thing that you said that I definitely had to take away from. But one of the things is, it doesn't matter how messy your notes are, if you just get them down and you have them that you can understand. We all know Garrett from the PPS and Mega 64. He has got the most rattled brain if you try to understand it, but it works for him, and it does not matter that nobody else gets it.
Yeah, I think it's about finding. Is the ring just stopped? It was going for a second. It stopped.
I think it is.
Let's go for another quick verse.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I think I love the passing. I love it. I think ultimately it's like finding a system that works for you. Again, as someone who has this mind where it's like I can't rest until everything is out of it. This system works for me. But yeah, I'm curious in the comments what works for you in terms of doing it. If because like again, like people work on different levels. Even if you're a high school student or an executive, it's like everyone has projects. What do you want to do? Like for me, I have so many projects. So that's why this book was able to help me focus on like, okay, making everything manageable. And that's why I'm excited for this year. It's like even last year I had to move, but step one wasn't move to San Diego. It was like, okay, calculate my budget. Can I afford to move? Yeah. B, research, like I don't know what you just like step by steps. And I think everyone naturally does that, but people don't spend the time thinking about it. Yeah. I spend so much time thinking about the process, and I think that's the other thing too that's hard is like, and maybe that's what makes me anxious. And I think that's where anxiety comes from, is thinking about all the options and focusing too much about what if things go wrong.
Yes.
And part of why I like doing dog walks or even streaming is just don't think, go, hit record, pick up camera, run. Okay, getting things done. It was such a scrambled start, but I feel like better now. We didn't even talk about the media, but the rain died down. But yeah, we'll. I want to do quick hits on media. I don't even remember which way the top is. That's fine. Yeah, last time we did a video about exercise. People made video responses.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was incredible.
So many people responded. It was really cool to see everyone respond.
Yeah, so if you want to make a video response, again, it's such a scrambled episode, but I feel better. Yeah, leave a video response. I'll make a topic on the comment section. I'll pin it so you can reply there. But yeah, let me know, what's your system for getting shit done? Do you take notes? Do you use Post-it notes? I really do like doing small Post-it notes. I'll wake up on a Sunday and it's like dishes, check email, go for a walk, doom, boom, boom. And then I'll look at money.com for like, all right, or my planner, like what movies, games I want to watch. But lots of different things, but I found something that works for me.
Good.
But yeah.
Find something that works for you, I think is... Like, we've said that before. I think you've sent that to me in countless, like, Instagram posts and whatever. Like, just find what works for you. Yeah. If it doesn't and it's not bringing you the harmony you're looking for, then you know what you want. Like, what I'm trying to say is if you find displeasure in something, it helps you identify one less thing that you don't want. It eliminates one less option for you to worry about. So then focus on those things that you can and do those things, because like Frank's saying, you got to find the next actionable step and you have to keep moving forward. Otherwise you're going to have that anxiety of, I'm not filling my time right. Is this the best use of my time? Instead of just, I know I'm doing this because I have a list of things I need to do. I took a little bit of time to be uncomfortable to actually create this list, but now I'm happy that I have it, instead of, what do I have to do this week, every single week? Yeah,
and then the book also talks about like making sure your systems are updated. So I was doing this before, but the book talks about it. The book says like make sure you have a weekly review, and that's something I've been doing because of a planner out of necessity. Yeah. The start of the week. Okay, what didn't I finish last week? Write it down, put it on my planner list. But it's just taking time to reflect. How did I use my time last week? How can I better use my time next week? And I've been doing that for almost a year now, and I feel like that's how I was able to get a lot of shit done.
Yeah.
But now that I've finished the book, it's like I can read more books. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to talk about is like self-help books. What are some other self-help books that have helped you out? Getting things done has been great for me. We'll see, but I'm very excited. And then lastly, some quick hits on media. Brian and I, let's take the quick walk. We'll wrap it up. It's probably a longer episode, but we missed a week, so it's a double stuffed.
There you go.
We've talked about this on Streams podcast, but
double stuffed big dog.
On Hulu, we watched a show called Pen 15, which is So, like when as soon as I started watching it, I was like, oh, this is Freaks and Geeks for our generation.
Yeah.
When Freaks when Freaks and Geeks came out in the late 90s, that was high school kids in the 70s. Pen 15 is a great comedy drama about middle school. It's about middle school, but it's these 2 30-year-old comedians playing themselves at the age of 13, and it's set in the year 2000. And like Freaks and Geeks, it's really funny, but then there's serious subjects. It's great. It's really good.
Yeah, it's something that when I saw, I'm like, okay, Pen 15. Obviously, I knew what that was growing up in the 90s, and then I'm just like, oh, okay, they're banking on, like, that was my first impression. They're banking on this whole 90s thing that they're doing. They just released that mid 90s movie. Yep. Like, okay, cool. Then Frank comes in and tells me, this is somehow tied to Bob Odenkirk's production company, who did Mr. Show, who did Bob and David on Netflix, like great, awesome sketch comedy. He was Better Call Saul, and then the Lonely Island pictures are also working on it, so they like did executive producing for the show as well. So I'm like, all right, that's 2 sketch comedy like groups that I love. Boom, let's see what they do. Not only was it fun and funny, it felt like a good sketch show at times because they would weave in really good comedy. Yeah,
there's like really good, like almost sitcom-y bits, and then there's there's like real serious shit in there. The show's about girls, so you get their perspective, but like one thing that's such a strong narrative is like it's the main character is like Japanese American, and there's episodes where she deals with like, oh, I resent being Japanese, I'm so different. And that's something Brian and I talk about all the time. Your family being Lebanese, my family being Russian. There would be times where my mom would pick me up speaking Russian, I'd be embarrassed. Now that I'm older, it's awesome. Yeah. But the show taps into that, like, identity is such a strong part of middle school. And it's great to have a show reflect on that. And again, that's why I loved 8th grade last year. Like, I think it's so important to have these shows for like kids today, adults now, like, again, it's just sharing. And again, like, kind of like selfishly tying everything back, but it's like, that's why I really like streaming and doing dog walks, is just sharing. So again, like, I don't know, I like doing these, and I want to do more of them. And this one kind of went long. I want to keep these short and succinct, but quickly, Celeste, we beat that. We played that on stream. Incredible game. God of War. You beat that.
On that. I beat that. I played mainly through the story. I actually didn't do a lot of the side missions. Surprisingly, like Eric came to my game, and he's like, "You have done none of the side tasks." The main story was so incredible. Gameplay, everything about it. I'm not going to say anything that hasn't already been said, but what I took away from it that I didn't expect, it felt a lot like Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Yeah. If you loved God of War and you're looking for that meat and potatoes that made that combat fun, check out Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1, not the second one. That would be the best. It's produced by Hideo Kojima. It's awesome. I really, really loved it. But that's my hit.
And then Return of the Obra Dinn. After I beat it, I played it with Audrey, and I streamed it. We'll link it below. But after I beat Obra Dinn, I was like, yeah, that's one of the coolest games I've ever played. Audrey said like top 10. I'm like, oh, top 100. I like a lot of games.
Do you have your mermaid sock?
I don't have my mermaid socks. I was wearing mermaid socks yesterday because the game it's like a detective mystery, almost like LucasArts old school adventure game, but it's built. It looks like a old school Macintosh game, like that crushed green and black, but it's in a 3D space. It's genius. It feels like when I played the Stanley Parable, like this is so forward and advanced. It's genius. Everyone needs to play it. It takes 8 hours. Works on PC, Mac. Just play it. It's incredible. If you want to see my deep dive, I streamed about 30 minutes of it. I'll link it below. Excellent game. And then, yeah. Lastly, again, we want to talk about more, but we'll save it for future dog walks. But I really enjoy streaming. I like making videos. Again, now that I have getting things done, I have those tools. I think like I can start inching along towards more projects. I want to do more streaming. We love like Kevin Hilt sent us a Big Dogs gaming package.
So cool, such a cool guy. Like he sent us stuff to the Mega 64 box a while ago, and it was really awesome. He sent this extra stuff because he found a book for Audrey.
Yeah,
like a Studio Ghibli book, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's awesome. But such a nice guy. He even sent me stuff, and not like a couple of things. I tweeted about it.
Yeah.
But he sent like a few stuff.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, we'll show it off on a stream. But he sent a lot of stuff, and it was incredible. But like seeing all these, like ultimately we always say like the best way you can support us or support any artist you like is just being there.
Yes.
Like leaving comments, like, you know, even making video responses, typing in the chat when we stream, subscribing, donating, whatever. Like it's all ultimately it's all the same, but like just hearing from you. And that's, I think, like, again, that's why I want to do the show. I want to talk to people. It's just, and this is something maybe I'll touch on in the future, or maybe this will be an overarching thing, but I feel like my type of personality, my generation, the people who are probably watching this are the same. I feel like I spend so much time on the internet, social media, but like I feel so lost, or I'm trying to find my purpose, etc., yada yada. But it's like, I know I am obsessed with media, but I don't connect enough with people, and so like I think that's why my whole life I've always been like putting flags out of the media I do like, so I can find people who are similar.
Yeah.
But like with Twitch streaming, all of a sudden it was just like every time we do it, we get 50 people just chatting, and it's like hosting a party every single time we do it.
Yeah.
And so, man, I really like it. And like I said, I'm not afraid to just make shit, put stuff out there. Steven Soderbergh, I recommended High Flying Bird on the last episode. In an interview with that, he shot that film quick and dirty on an iPhone. It's awesome. But, oh, actually, there's a car coming. Let's get over here. Yeah. Steven Soderbergh said in an interview that, oh, we'll end the shot over here. This is really pretty.
Your legs are longer than me, so it's
Oh, sorry. Steven Soderbergh said, like, I just want to fail as fast as I can. And I think that's such a profound quote. I'm never afraid, at least not anymore. It used to be a long time ago. But I'm not afraid just to make stuff and put stuff out there. And, like, kind of it's okay. Like, if anytime someone leaves a comment of, like, oh, this isn't right, this isn't good, it's like, okay, yeah, I'll try to fix that. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to put myself out there and get better, make stuff, and hopefully connect with people. We've gotten good comments. But, yeah. And, I don't know. It feels good to talk about the stuff that we talk about every stream. If you haven't seen our live streams, they're fun. Like, I don't know, it's, I mean, it feels like a new wave of just, like, positivity. And again, we talk about mental health and just, I think what it is like, I've always been addicted to the internet as a source of information. Mm-hmm. And when we do our streams, it's just like a meeting of the minds. Like, okay, let's talk about this topic. Talk about this topic. And it's a good vibe. So check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Frank Howley. Thanks for watching these vids. I want to do more videos. We started playing Hollow Knight. Audrey and I, we might do some more on my Twitch. Good ass game. Thanks for watching Dog Walks. Leave video responses. I hope I don't come off too depressed. I'm very excited, but it's just I haven't talked about this stuff before, and it's exciting.
But it's good to talk about it because other people absolutely feel this way,
yeah.
and they can't express it.
Yeah.
So just express it to somebody. One thing that, like, you touched on, we all grew up in an era where the internet was there for us to take, and our parents necessarily weren't around or weren't there to raise us, so we turned to the internet or online or video games to find community. That's why we're doing this Big Dogs.
Yeah.
Because that's where we've always turned to, and we know that you guys are looking for somewhere. Just talk about it.
Yeah. And then I feel bad. We had so much to talk about, but it would be fun to do Big Dogs with Audrey. We can have her as a guest. But any quick notes or words, Audrey?
Big dogs care. Big dogs are there for you. Sometimes they have it down, but who knows? They're gonna help you out. You're gonna help them out just being there. I don't know what to say. I'm a small dog.
No, you're a big dog.
I'm a big dog?
Yeah.
Well, that's news for me.
What's like a game, anime, or movie people should check out?
Right now I'm watching Trigon because people have recommended for Frank, but since Frank doesn't watch anime that much, I'm gonna take that part.
Yeah.
And I'm at episode 2. It's really, really great. And I cannot watch it with Frank because I watch it in dub.
Oh fuck, I can't do dubs.
No, I just imagine all the comments saying, "Oh, dubs."
No, there's a lot of people. It's alright.
Anyway, that's what I've been watching, and I've been playing games with Frank, of course. They're the best.
Oh, yeah.
And Brian's doing some graffiti on the floor. I don't know what's going on.
I can't read this.
Whoa.
Big dogs.
Can you explain your art to us?
Big dogs.
Oh
Big
my
dogs.
gosh.
Hell yeah. Alright, that's it. Another plane. What do YouTube people say? Smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell, leave a video response.
I'm gonna say fetch.
Yeah, Big Dogs fetch.